Jackson Dart cleared concussion protocol and is starting on Monday Night Football. Welcome to the Empire State Sports Report. I'm your host, Adrianna. This podcast is brought to you by Believe Network and FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel Sportsbook is the #1 place to make all of your sports bets. Download the app today and make sure to bet responsibly. You heard it. Jackson Dart, good to go. He's ready to play. And I know there were a lot of fans that are very anti this, but I don't know if you saw Joe Burrow speaking to the media both before the Bengals game on Thanksgiving and earlier on in the week. And he said, look, if I'm healthy, I'm playing. I'm a competitor. It is my duty to my team to go out there and play if I'm ready to go. And I don't care that we're out of playoff contention or whatever it is. I'm healthy. I'm playing. End of discussion. And Jackson Dart is the same way. And so is everyone in the NFL. They're not trying to tank. They're not trying to lose. They're not trying to get Jackson Dart injured. But the reality is Dart is a rookie and has things that he needs to improve upon. So for the people who are worried about Jackson Dart, I get it. But why aren't you also worried about Brian Burns and Andrew Thomas and, Tyrone Tracy continuing to play? Because those are all starting players on this team. We all know Andrew Thomas is actually more valuable to this team than Jackson Dart is, because look what Jameis Winston has done the last couple weeks. He's gone out there and done enough to win them the game. Brian Burns has 13 sacks. He's the only player on the defense that literally does anything productive. If Andrew Thomas gets injured and is out next year, we are back to square one. It doesn't matter whether or not Jackson Dart is healthy. So I know that people are worried about that, and I get it. But I do think that Jackson Dart is one of those people who has to learn things the hard way. We all know him. I'm sure some of you listening are like, guilty as charged. I'm like that sometimes too. We're people. We're human. It is what it is. But I think that him missing 2 games was unfortunately a very valuable lesson for him, that he needs to protect himself. And we're going to see if he has learned that on Monday night. And if he goes out there and continues to be reckless and putting his head and shoulder down and, pushing into guys when he should be going out of bounds or throwing the ball away or sliding or whatever, then unfortunately, I think we're just going to have to deal with it. And there's no way around that. And maybe Jackson Dart is not going to have a very long career in the NFL, or we better continue to have a damn good backup quarterback because he's going to miss games. And that just might be something that we can't do anything about, and neither can the coach. I hope that that's not the case. I really do. We know that Jackson Dart knows how to slide. He's done it before. He's capable. He can do it. And we've seen him run out of bounds or throw the ball away. He just has to do it consistently. And I really hope that the recklessness style of his play is tapered now that he had to miss time. This is in college. You don't have that opportunity anymore. Gruden tried to warn him. Dable tried to warn him. Kafka tried to warn him. I'm sure many other people, John Mary, you name it. I'm sure he's had a lot of conversations with people in the building who have said, you can't do that anymore. Enough is enough. And like I said, maybe he just had to learn the hard way. So we're going to find out on Monday night. But which we're going to preview the Giants-Pats game today in this episode. So we'll get to that in a minute. But I want to talk a little bit more about Jackson Dart, because obviously that the sliding, the getting down, the throwing the ball away, running out of bounds, that is something that Jackson Dart really, really has to improve upon. It's something that he has to work on for the rest of the season. So that's what I'd really like to see him do. One of the things that I think he's gotten better at that I still would like to see improve upon is that, from what I've seen on the film a bit, it looks like he gets through his reads and sometimes is afraid to throw the ball and just runs instead. Like, I've seen a couple plays where receivers have been open and it looks like he's looking that way, and instead of throwing the ball, he goes ahead and takes off. And I'd like to see him just get a little bit more comfortable of relying on his receivers. Now, obviously, it's hard to rely on your wide receivers when they're not in the right place or they're not catching the ball, etc. Like, I also understand that. But what I will say is the last 2 weeks specifically, the wide receivers on this football team have stepped up big. That includes Isaiah Hodgins, Wan'Dale Robinson, who's had now his 2nd career game of the year, which actually I think is funny. His 2 career games of the season have not been with Jackson Dart. So I'd love to see Jackson Dart and Wan'Dale Robinson have that type of game at some point in the next 5 games. But, Jameis, we all know, is not afraid to get rid of the ball, and he did it. And that's why, those guys, and Theo Johnson also had a great game last week, 77 yards receiving on 3 catches. So the players are making plays. It's not every time. We still have a wide receiver issue, but they've been better. And I want Jackson Dart to feel like he can rely on them a little bit and just put the ball in their hands and make the play there. So that's something that I would like to see him improve upon. But overall, he has done much better as a rookie than I expected him to do. And guys, this is what happens. It comes with playtime. So you can't replicate the live reps in the NFL. There's nothing like it. Not OTAs, not the offseason, not when they go out to Arizona and throw the ball around, not when they're in training camp, and certainly not when they're in preseason because there's no game planning. You're not playing with the starters the whole game, if at all, during the game. And there's no game planning on both sides of the ball. So there's just so much of it that is not the same as the regular season. So I'm excited to watch Jackson Dart. I'm glad that he's back. Obviously would have enjoyed some more Jameis Winston. He is so fun to watch him. I am so thrilled that he is the backup on this team next year. That's also been a question I've seen a lot is we have to re-sign Jameis Winston. Don't worry about it. One of the good things that Joe Schoen has done is signed him to a 2-year deal. So he's back next year, which is great. So we have that to look forward to. But I am excited to see Dart on Monday. And, my husband's a Pats fan, and we were talking about this last night, which he doesn't know enough about the Pats to have him come on this preview pod. He's watching the Bruins now anyway. But we were saying that, the future of the NFL and the future of the Giants and the Patriots are here. And it's Jackson Dart and Drake May. And we were kind of laughing. And I was like, it's like the Eli Manning, Tom Brady thing. And we're going to come out on top because, Eli Manning. So, but I think it's going to be a great game. I think it's going to be entertaining. If you asked me a few weeks ago, I would say we are going to get the doors absolutely blown off us and we're going to get smoked. And while I do think we're not going to win the game, I do think we're going to keep it close. And the biggest reasons for that is that they have kept the games close in the last few weeks specifically. Again, another collapse by the defense, another reason why they lost a football game where they should, at the very least right now, be 7-5. And we could have a better record than the Commanders. We could have a better record than the freaking Cowboys, and we'd be in second place in the NFC East. We'd be tied with the Lions. The Lions are 7-5. I mean, it's really devastating. But it is what it is. I do think though that this is going to be competitive, and let's get into the injury report now. So Jackson Dart was good to go. I am recording this before the injury report for this afternoon has come out, but some of the coaches have spoken to the media. So Bullen spoke, and so did Kafka. Now they have not come up yet, so I just have clips of them, but I want to talk about the injuries. So obviously Dart was cleared. Kafka said that he thinks that there's a chance that Dexter Lawrence is going to play on Monday. Now, he's getting treatment today, which is Friday, and he's not going to practice, but he did have a day off yesterday. The players were off for Thanksgiving. I do not know if any of them were in the building and got any type of treatment, but I do know that they had what seems like a full rest day, which I think is good for everyone. So the injury report from Wednesday sounds like it's going to be the same today, which is that Demetrius Flanagan-Foles, Dexter Lawrence, and Kayvon Thibodeau all did not practice. Out of that group, we need Dexter or Kayvon. We can't go into this game with only one of those. And we'll talk about the Patriots injuries. They are actually missing their left tackle and their left guard. So it's going to be a really big opportunity for Charlie Bullen and this defensive line to step up. And I would just feel much better about that if we had Dexter or Kayvon. So I'm hoping Dexter, because at least Abdul is going to get the snaps, and hopefully, Charlie Bullen's going to be able to help him out this week. But next up, here are all the guys that were limited. Paulson Adebo, Deontay Banks with a hip, Corey Black with a bicep, DJ Davidson knee, Tyler Nubin neck, Wan'Dale Robinson ankle, Darius Slayton hamstring. Now, assuming that all of those guys do not have setbacks, they should be good to go for Monday. This is the benefit of having the Monday night game and then going into your bye week, is that I do think that some of these guys who are on the cusp might be able to talk the medical team into letting them play. So I don't know. I'm not sold about Paulson Adebo, but I really would like to see either him or Corey Black. Please do not make me watch Tay Banks go up against Hunter Henry on Monday night. Please spare us the torture of that. So I would like that. The Giants also signed cornerback Miles Purchase to the practice squad. Now, he was a UDFA earlier in 2025. He was signed to the Chargers, has not really played. So I believe he was on their Chargers practice squad. So the Giants brought him in. He's on our practice squad. If someone like Deonte Banks cannot go on Sunday, I do think they could elevate Miles Purchase. And I'm under the belief right now that I do not care what cornerbacks are on the field as long as they are not named Tay Banks. Like, I just don't care. The good news is that Cordell Flott is not on this list. So him and Drew Phillips are going to be good to go. The question is who's going to be on the outside. Is it going to be Banks, Adebo, or Black? And because they're all limited, I just don't know right now. But my guess is that it's looking good for at least one of them to be ready to go. And like I said, I just please don't let it be Tay Banks. Please don't. Please. I need like something to look forward to the tiniest bit on Monday night. So we've got that. Next up, I want to talk about the Patriots injuries, and then we'll go into a little stats on either side. So like I said, the Patriots are missing. So they put Will Campbell on IR, and he could potentially be done for the season, who I'm sure you guys are all familiar with. Will Campbell, stud left tackle from LSU, coming out of the draft, was a big name. And I believe he went with the Patriots their first round pick this year, which was top 10 in 2025. And he's been a stud so far. So that is a big piece that they are missing. And then on top of that, they are now also missing Jared Wilson, who is their starting left guard. So now they're going to have the left side of the line is not going to be there. And Brian Burns is going to have an opportunity to tie Myles Garrett for the most amount of sacks in the NFL. So let's go, Burns. Obviously, we're all rooting for you. So that is obviously a huge loss for them. Now, I briefly touched on Hunter Henry for a second. He was listed as limited on Thursday. So it sounds like the Patriots had practice on Thursday. And Christian Barmore, who's a defensive tackle, Clavon Kaizen is a linebacker with an ankle injury, Hunter Henry, toe, and then Kiris Tonga is a defensive tackle, chest. Those four guys were limited. So I expect Hunter Henry and the rest of them to be back at it. Hunter Henry is the guy that is most prevalent on that list, and that I think we're all going to be hoping doesn't play. You know how the Giants are against covering the tight end. So next up, they had 6 guys who did not practice. So CJ Dipper, who is also a tight end, has a back injury. Harold Landry, linebacker, is dealing with a knee. Now, Morgan Moses, I want to call out here because he's the right tackle. And he was out with an illness. So he's probably going to be good to go. But depending on how long this illness lingers, like if he doesn't practice and is just ready to go on Monday, I don't know, maybe could take advantage of the fact that the right tackle was out the last couple weeks, or excuse me, the last couple days with an injury. And then we already talked about Jared Wilson, who is the right guard. And then last up was Jelani Tavai, who's a linebacker and was dealing with a personal thing. So he should also be good to go. So it sounds like they're going to be missing some players on defense, but the offense is obviously going to be the biggest issue that the Giants are going to have with this team. Drake May is playing at an unbelievable rate this year. There's a lot of conversation about him being the MVP. I also just saw a stat on the Patriots Twitter that Mike Vrabel is the 5th coach in Patriots history since 1970 to win 9 or more games in a season. And I'm sorry, I will never forgive the Giants for not firing Dable sooner and bringing him in, because could have been us. It could have been us. And now I have to deal with the fact that we are talking about interviewing guys like Lou Anarumu, Mike McCarthy, Matt Nagy, and Arthur Smith. It makes me very upset, as I'm sure you all know. Anyway, let's get into some stats here. Because like I said, this Patriots offense, they are top 10 in the NFL. They are ranked number 8th overall with 359.9 yards on average per game, and they have 37 touchdowns. So they're going to be a struggle. They are 6th in passing offense with 247.5 yards and 21 touchdowns. So better in the pass than the run. They are all the way down at 19th in the run game offensively, 112.4 yards per game and 12 rushing touchdowns. So That to me is the most important thing to note with this Patriots offense, because obviously our run defense is atrocious, as we all know, as we have seen over the last couple of weeks, that it's struggle bus when it comes to stopping the run. And again, if Dexter Lawrence doesn't play on Sunday, it will be an opportunity for this Patriots team to say, we're going to try and exploit that. And we have all seen this rodeo, this show before, that what will not surprise me is if that is the case, that that they will all of a sudden be really good running the ball against the Giants, because why wouldn't they? I'm hoping that is not the case. Dexter Lawrence, please, I'm begging you, play on Sunday. We need you so desperately. But so that is something that obviously has been a bit of a struggle with them, but they are again back in the top 10 in scoring offense. Again, 37 total touchdowns. They are averaging 26.5 points per game in the red zone. They are not as good. They are ranked number 19 with a 54.8% chance of scoring a touchdown in the red zone. So that is going to be a good opportunity again for our defense to try to make some stops there. It's obviously not their best position. And then lastly, let's talk about third down when it comes to the Patriots. They have a better success rate there. They are number 7th in the NFL with a 42.4% third down offense. And what I will say, guys, is we are not that far behind them. The Giants are ranked number 10th in third down rate at 41.5%. So less than a 1 point difference. So we'll talk about what our offense needs to do in a minute. But, you know, when it comes to our defense versus this offense, they have to keep the Patriots at bay in the run game, which, you know, other teams have been able to do it. So it's an opportunity for the Giants to do it. The last couple teams that they have gone against have been incredible in the run game. We saw it with Jahmyr Gibbs. We got lucky that we didn't have to witness it horribly with Josh Jacobs. Got a little break there, but Emmanuel Wilson said, you know, I could be Josh Jacobs too. So we got to slow down the run. That's the biggest thing. Got to slow down the run to slow down this Patriots offense. Again, averaging almost 27 points per game. Our Giants offense has actually done a relatively good job as well when it comes to that we are averaging. The Giants are averaging 22 points a game, which is a lot better than what it's been over the last 5 years. So we're finally scoring. We're scoring on opening drives. The offense is doing everything right. And then, you know, our defense. So let's continue on with this Patriots offense versus our Giants defense. So they got to slow down the run. That's obviously going to be the biggest thing. The second thing that I want to see, and what I heard from Charlie Bullen in his press conference, is he was asked about the fact that he came from Vance Joseph and, you know, what does he think about the Vance Joseph philosophy, which is to be aggressive. And Bullen kind of smiled and said, you know, he didn't want to give anything away. And basically was like, yeah, you know, Vance and I are good friends. We have a great relationship. I learned a lot from him. And was kind of like, you know, we'll see about philosophy there. But Mike Kafka has been preaching that he wants to be aggressive, and he has done it. He has done it consistently in the last 2 games, and I expect that this game on Monday night against the Patriots will be no different, that they will be aggressive, they will be blitzing more, and they're going to be going after the quarterback. And I want to talk about Abdul Carter for a second, and then we're going to move on to the Giants offense, because I am seeing a lot of Abdul Carter slander on the internet, and I am not here for it. And it is one thing to say that you're disappointed in Abdul Carter because he's not getting the sacks or he's not having the type of impact play that maybe we all thought that he was going to, right? There's been a lot of conversation of, well, I was told he was going to be Micah Parsons and he's not anything remotely close to Micah Parsons and blah, blah, blah. You guys need to listen to what Carl Banks has to say, because 2 things can be true at once. Number 1, he's not getting the sacks, which is a problem, right? He's winning a lot of one-on-one battles, but not getting the sacks. The second thing is he should have at least 4 sacks, but there have been penalties by either the quarterback or our own defensive players that have negated those sacks. So if he had 4 sacks, which is probably what he should have at this point, I think everyone would be feeling a little bit better about him. But the second thing is we have to talk about the scheme, because Carl Banks said on the Giant Insider podcast this week, you guys have to listen to it. He is so nerdy when it comes to talking about the defense. And those are his own words. He said, I could nerd out about this and talk about it all day. And I was like, please do. is very interesting. But he basically was saying that a big part of what they're seeing, which is the problem with Abdul Carter, is that when they drafted him, they did not have a plan for him. And he said you can see it week in and week out. They drafted him, but Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns were still the starters. And Abdul Carter was only a rotational piece. He's playing a little bit here, a little bit there. He's playing middle linebacker. He's not rushing the quarterback, which is what he's best at. They didn't have a plan, and they never had a plan since Shane Bowen was here of what they were going to do with him. And Banks brought up a really good example and said, look back at Tay Banks. Why was he so successful in his first year with Wink Martindale? Because Wink Martindale went to the front office and said, I need this guy, and this is how I'm going to utilize him. And for all the problems that people have with Wink, and to be fair, some of them are deserved, but he had a plan with Tay Banks and he executed that. And under that year, Tay Banks was the best that he's ever been. And it has all fallen off since then. And there's a million reasons why. One of them is the scheme when it comes to Tay Banks. Obviously, effort issues are a huge problem. And that has nothing to do with, I don't think, Wink Martindale versus Shane Bowen. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But the scheme is holding people back. And when you hear it from someone like Carl Banks, who has watched all the defensive film, who knows the scheme, who knows the players, who knows what someone like Abdul Carter is capable of, and is saying they don't have a plan and they don't know what to do with him, how is he's not put in a position to succeed? So I think that people need to give Carter a little bit the benefit of the doubt. I understand he was picked number 3 overall. Yes, he should have more sacks. I agree with you. But to say that he is a bust is factually wrong, and I need people to stop saying that, okay? You want to say that he doesn't have sacks and he's not, an impact player, by all means, go ahead and do that. I also think you're partially wrong on that, and I'm going to back this up with stats, because Brian Burns is having the career that he's having because he has guys like Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, and Dexter Lawrence who are freeing him up to get after the quarterback. So you can say that he is not an impact player, but the stats say otherwise, because Carter leads all rookies in PFF pass rush grade, which is 75%. He's also leading them, all the rookies, in total pressures at 38, which is over 10 more than the guy behind him. And he's also leading them in win rate at 13.1%. So he is still getting pressure, and the pressure is forcing the quarterback to run directly into Brian Burns or to stay put and not see Brian Burns coming after him and closing out and getting the sack. So I know we're all upset he doesn't have the sacks. It's a valid reason to be upset. He should have more sacks. I'm not arguing with you. But to call him a bust is insane, because he is doing a lot more than what Evan Neal ever did in his first year when people are calling him a bust, and has continued to do over the last 3 years. You want to call Evan Neal a bust? By all means. It is well worth it. I don't want to hear it about Abdul Carter yet. It's literally insane. So that's it. And also, let's give Charlie Bullen the benefit of the doubt here. And I want to say one thing on Charlie Bullen, because I'm seeing some things on social media that people are like, the only reason that he got picked is because he's buddy with Joe Schoen. And it could be that that's true. It could also be the fact that the two guys that they were debating promoting, number one, Andre Patterson never even got an interview with the Giants for the defensive coordinator role before they hired Shane Bowen. Think about that for a second. If they really loved Andre Patterson, and that goes for Mike Kafka too, because Mike Kafka could have promoted him. He's been working alongside him for the last 4 years, could have promoted him and decided not to. And maybe that's because he just doesn't think that he's capable of being a great defensive coordinator. And maybe they don't align on philosophy. And what we've heard again from Kafka is he wants to be aggressive. And the other person that they were supposedly considering who has the experience as a passing game coordinator is Marquand Manuel. When you look at our cornerbacks and our defensive backs as a whole, because he's the defensive backs coach, why on earth would you make him the defensive coordinator? The defensive backs as a whole are the worst part of this football team in every way, shape, and form. So maybe it's because he's friends with Joe Schoen, or maybe it's just because he aligns with Mike Kafka and Kafka thinks that he's going to be the best. And when you look at the defensive line, at least one player on the defensive line is number 2 in the NFL at something when everyone else sucks at everything. So let's give Charlie Bullen the benefit of the doubt. Okay. The team is 2-10. Let's see if he can follow up on his philosophy that he's going to be aggressive. He learned under Vance Joseph, which I know a lot of Giants fans love as a defensive coordinator option. So he learned from one of the best. Let's see what he's capable of doing before we all just decide that he only got the job because of nepotism. Maybe he's going to prove to us that, hey, he's actually going to be a defensive coordinator. And maybe he's going to prove that he got the job because of nepotism and he actually sucks at it. We will know 5 weeks from now. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because I do think this defensive line is one of the better parts of the defense, all things considered. And he has Brian Burns, and Brian Burns said, I love that guy. We are very tight. I've learned a lot from him. He's the reason why I am as productive as I am this year. Gives him a lot of credit. So let's see what he can do. All right, next up, let's talk about this Giants offense, what they have to do against the Patriots defense. And the biggest thing is keep doing what they're doing. The offensive line has been unbelievable this year. They are in the top third of the NFL at literally everything, their total combined stats. They're opening holes in the run game. They are blocking and giving Jackson Dart, Jameis Winston, whoever's the quarterback, giving them plenty of time to make decisions. So this is a big opportunity again for this offensive line to continue to step up. The Patriots defense is ranked number 7 overall. They are allowing an average of 301.2 yards per game and 26 touchdowns. When it comes to the passing defense, they are way further down at number 17, allowing over 213 and a half yards through the air and 20 touchdowns. So this is going to be an opportunity with a good game plan for the wide receivers to be involved and to make plays. And like I said from Jackson Dart, throw the ball. Throw it. If you think that they are open and Wan'Dale's running the right route and he's at the break at the right time and, he's open, or it's Theo Johnson, trust the guys to make the play. They've really stepped up in the last couple weeks. And Jackson Dart has not even played with Isaiah Hodgins yet. Since Isaiah Hodgins has been on the team, Jackson Dart has been in concussion protocol. So I am expecting Isaiah Hodgins to also be a big target this week because he's healthy. And he knows the offense already, and he has already been a key piece of the offense in the last 2 weeks. So I expect that to continue this week. I expect Wan'Dale Robinson to be heavily involved and Theo Johnson. So if you have those guys in your fantasy, might be a good time to start them. Now, here's the biggest problem that the Giants are going to have with the defense is our run game against their run defense. Because listen to this. The Patriots are number 2 in the NFL against the run. They are allowing 87.7 yards per game and only 4 rushing touchdowns. Now, the last 2 weeks, the Packers and the Lions are also damn good against the run. And that was one of my biggest concerns going into those 2 games. I feel the same way about this game, but I have slightly more confidence that, number one, Mike Kafka is going to stick to the run and he's going to continue to run it down their throats until they can open up some holes and make it work. And number 2, they have consistently run the ball relatively well in the last 2 weeks that I think in week 3, they're going to be able to continue that. Now, the biggest question I have is how much is Jackson Dart going to be running the ball? There's going to be RPO options. But the question that I have is, if Dart sees holes, is he going to throw it or is he going to run it? And that's the biggest question mark with him, right? Because if he can be a key piece to this running offense and he sees holes and he takes them and he slides and he's not putting himself in harm's way, then he could be a really big impact player for the rushing offense. Jameis Winston, the last 2 weeks has barely run. And maybe that's because Mike Kafka said, I'm not taking the chance on these guys, whether it's Dart or Winston. We'll find that out on Monday. Will there be design quarterback runs, or is it going to be up to Jackson Dart and his discernment to do what he feels best in that minute? I don't know. We're going to find out on Monday. It's going to be interesting though. But the Giants are probably going to have a tough time running the ball, but they just have to continue, right? You just got to keep doing it until you break through at some point, because it's bound to happen. Players get tired. They could be missing their best outside linebacker. They're definitely have some injury issues too on that defense. So on the scoring defense, the Patriots are also tied in 4th with the Packers, allowing an average of 18.8 yards per game. And the Patriots have allowed 26 touchdowns, where the Packers, same points per game, have allowed 24 touchdowns. And guys, the Giants put up 20 points against that Packers team. And they were this close to putting up 27. So, I think they're going to be able to put up points. I think it's probably just going to come more in the passing game than the running game. So, big opportunity here for the Giants. Monday Night Football. It's going to be a good game, good energy. I think it's going to be competitive. I'm excited to see what Mike Kafka can do. I think he's done a good job so far. Obviously things to work on, but I also am really optimistic about the defense in the sense that I just think, I don't know, maybe they're not going to. At the very least, I think they'll look a little bit more creative. And, even when Bowen spoke to the media, he said, look, we have been working in this same scheme and system for the last 2 years. I am not completely changing everything. We do not have time to do that, but I will be making adjustments. And Kafka has done the same thing, right? He's been running the same offense, but we've seen his spin on it with being more aggressive, with taking the shots, with scheming guys to get open better, with continuing with the run game. And with succeeding in the run game. And then what else was it? I just wanted to say something else about Kafka. Time management has been a little bit better than Dable. The penalties, oh my God, we need to discuss this real quick and then we're done here. But the penalties under Mike Kafka, and it's only 2 weeks, so it's a small sample size. We're going to see how it continues over the next 5 weeks. Do you know that against the Lions, when it was very, very loud, you could hear it on TV. I heard it from people who were there. They said it's the loudest. It's a dome. We know it. Okay. They didn't have a single false start. Did you hear that? The Giants offense did not have a single false start in the game against the Lions. This team has been hindered by injuries, especially in the red zone. How many times under Brian Dable, we saw it happen multiple times this year, did the offense get a false start in the red zone? It pushes them back 5 yards, and then they suck in the red zone and they can't score a touchdown. We have seen it numerous times, not with Mike Kafka. Again, small sample size. And the other thing I want to say on the penalties is in the last 2 games against the Packers and the Lions, the Giants both times have had less penalties than their opponent. Discipline. I know there's look, at the end of the day, Kafka has to win games, but already he's done things better than Dable, and consistency is key. It needs to continue over the next 5 weeks. But I don't know. I see things that I like out of him. And look, it doesn't mean he's the only coach who's ever going to be able to help with the penalties, but it's an important thing to note that if Mike Kafka starts winning games and he wins 4 out of the next 5 and he's sitting in that coaching chair, those are the things that I'm going to feel good about that Mike Kafka's interviewing. I'm going to feel like, all right, at least he's done a lot of good things right. And, ABC, XYZ are all the reasons why. So I really wanted to talk about that because it's very important and it's something that has really hindered this team over the last 3.5 years. And the fact that they were in a dome and they didn't have a single false start is really impressive. So the final line here, the Giants take on the Patriots on Monday Night Football. This is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. The Patriots are obviously the favorites big time here. minus 405. The Giants are plus 320 and the spread is 7.5 points. Now, the spread sounds about right, I would say. It was much bigger against the Lions when Jackson Dart was ruled out. It went from 10 to 13. But the Giants have lost the last 2 games by about 7 points or so. And I think that if they end up losing this game, I think FanDuel is going to be right on the money with the spread being 7.5 points. Again, until the Giants prove to me that they can actually win a football game, I just cannot take them. I am taking the Patriots, but I do think that Jackson Dart and this Giants team are going to look good. I think they're going to look competitive, and I think they are going to look functional against the Patriots. So if you want to make a bet on them, FanDuel Sportsbook has the best odds. They have parlays, boosts, no sweat parlays, everything that you want in a sports betting app. FanDuel has. Download the app today, bet responsibly, and go Giants.